Today, we're going to take a look at whole steps and how they're laid out across the keyboard. A whole step is twice the size of a half step. And you remember last time we talked about half steps being the smallest interval available to us in our musical system. Let me show you how it looks on the keyboard. So let's play this white note here. It's the white note just before this group of 3 black notes, right here. So if we were to move up by 1 half step, we come to this next neighbor note here, this black key. But if we were to skip that black key and go right to the next white key, this is the distance of a whole step. And if we were to start on, say, this black key here, this first black key in this group of 3 black notes. To play a whole step, we're going to skip this middle white note and play the next black key. And this is also the distance of a whole step. Really, it's 2 half steps. Right? 1 half step here, 1 half step here. This is a whole step. Let's take a look at how whole steps are laid out across the keyboard. Play this note here with me. This is the white note that's right before this group of 2 black notes right here. Now remember, when we were playing half steps, we were moving up to every neighbor note all the way up. But this time, we're going to start right here. We're going to skip this black key, play the next white key. This distance is a whole step. And if we skip this next black key, we have another whole step. Now, it's going to get a little weird here because, look, again, we're missing a black key between these 2 white keys here. So to play a whole step, we're actually going to skip our nearest neighbor, this next white key, come up to this first black key in this group of 3. This is also a whole step. And then again, we skip the neighbor note, another whole step. Skip the neighbor note, another whole step. And then we skip the neighbor note, another whole step, and we're back where we started, 1 octave higher. Now let's try playing these all together. You see, there aren't even that many notes to play before we get back to where we began, an octave higher. Now, what about the notes we've skipped? Because remember, we're skipping over our nearest neighbor every time we play a whole step, right? Well, let's see. Let's start on one of those skipped notes. We're going to start now on this first black key in this group of 2 black keys here. So let's skip our nearest neighbor. And again, we're going to skip our nearest neighbor. And again. And again. And again. And here we are, back home at the pitch we started on. So in effect, this creates 2 scales, or 2 collections of whole steps that we might explore. One that begins here, and another that begins a half step up. And of course, we don't have to begin on these 2 pitches. We could select any pitch we like, for example, this one here, the middle black key in this group of 3 black keys. Now, as we walk up, remember, we skip our neighbors. Skip. Skip. We're really only playing 6 different notes throughout this entire scale before we arrive back at our home tone. And this is actually a great clue into why the keyboard is laid out the way that it is. It allows us to play both half steps and whole steps pretty easily, without moving our hands too much. So whether I'm playing half steps or whole steps, the motions are pretty easy and pretty well connected to one another. In fact, you can see a little bit of a pattern here. If we look to the black keys, Remember how they're grouped in groups of 3, and 2, and 3? Well, the white notes are sort of grouped around them similarly. See, this group of 2 black notes is encapsulated by this group of 3 white notes. And this group of 3 black notes is encapsulated by this group of 4 white notes. Now I'm going to show you a simple pattern that we can use to move about this whole step landscape across the entirety of the keyboard. I'm going to take our thumb and play the same note again. The note right below these 2 black keys, this white key right here. I'm going to start with our thumb, and it goes thumb, index, cross our thumb underneath, thumb again. Now, these 3 black keys, we're going to do index, middle, ring, and cross our thumb all the way under to get us back to our home key. Let's try that again. And we can continue this pattern all the way up the keyboard. Coming back down, it's basically the same pattern in reverse. So even if we start with our thumb, we're going to start with this big cross here. So thumb on this first note below these 2 black keys, cross our ring over, middle, index, thumb, index, thumb, ring, middle, index, thumb, index, thumb, and we're back home. Now let's say we'd like to start on the other collection of whole tones, because remember we mentioned there's 2 collections. And so if we were to begin now on this first black key here, for this one we're actually going to begin with our index finger, and we're going to go index, middle, cross our thumb underneath, thumb, index, middle, cross our thumb underneath again, thumb, index, middle, cross our thumb again, thumb, index, middle, cross our thumb, thumb, index, back home. And coming back down again, the pattern is simply reversed. Index, thumb, middle, index, thumb, middle, index, thumb, middle, index, thumb, middle, index. So again, a quick refresher, these 2 patterns are thumb, index, middle, ring, thumb. And the other pattern beginning on this collection is index, middle, thumb, index, middle, thumb, index. The second pattern is actually somewhat easier to remember because it just alternates index, middle, thumb, index, middle, thumb, index, middle, thumb the whole way up. The other collection, you got to think a little bit more because remember we're starting thumb, index, and we immediately cross our thumb under. And that's to set us up because as we talked about before, it can be very useful to use these fingers on the black key. It's much, much easier. For the left hand, the patterns are the same, they're just mirrored. So we're going to start with our thumb again on this first white key below this group of 2 black keys here. And then it goes index, middle, ring. Now here's the big cross of the thumb. Index, thumb. Let's go over that big cross together. So again, we're going to start with our thumb on this first white key below these 2 black keys here. thumb, index, middle, ring. Now we cross our thumb all the way under. Thumb, index, thumb. Let's come back up. So we're on thumb, index, thumb, cross our ring all the way over, ring, middle, index, thumb. Let's keep going up. Index, thumb, big cross, ring, middle, index, thumb. So as we come over this big cross here, let's go over this a couple times. So we have index, thumb, big cross, ring, come back down. Thumb, index, and go back up. Thumb, big cross, ring. Let's go down again. Thumb, index, and back up. Thumb, ring. Let's go all the way up. Middle, index, thumb. Now let's take a look at the other collection, the one that begins on this black note here, this first black note in the group of 2 black notes. So this is going to actually begin on our middle finger. We're going to go middle, index, thumb, cross over, middle, index, thumb, cross over, middle. And we're back where we began. Let's try that again. So it's middle, index, thumb, cross over our middle, index, thumb, cross over our middle again. And this pattern will continue all the way up and down the keyboard. And coming back down again, same pattern but reversed. So if we start with our middle finger here on this first black key in the group of 2 black keys, I'm going to go middle, thumb, index, middle, cross our thumb, index, middle. And if we keep going down, we cross our thumb again, index, middle, cross our thumb, index, middle. And we're back home. A final visual trick I'd like to show that really helps expose the difference between these 2 collections of whole steps is they're sort of laid out for you right on the piano. You notice how we have the 2 groups of black keys and the 3 groups of black keys. Well, that's actually our clue. Check it out. If we were to play just these 2 black keys, and then these 4 white keys that encapsulate these 3 black keys, that's the collection. That's it right there. That's one whole collection. And then the other one is just the other notes, right? We now play these 3 white notes that are encapsulating these 2 black keys, and these 3 black notes in the group. It has a really dreamlike, mysterious sort of a feeling to it. See that? Sort of like 2 paddles here. But that's it. Those are the 2 collections of whole steps, and it of course repeats in every octave across the entirety of the keyboard. So take your time, relax, Use these patterns to explore the entirety of the keyboard and explore both collections of whole tones that we looked at today. There's a lot of beauty in these intervals, and there's a lot to explore. See you next time.